Good morning, my dear students. We are studying this company final account chapter, and in the first lecture I told you theory related to final account. In that we cover the meaning of a company, then what it means by exactly financial statements that include 5 things and all them statutory things, voluntary things, then the period of a financial statement. Then we have studied the schedule 3 in that part 1, part 2, and then notes to accounts. Then after that I taught you the difference between current and non-current. My dear students, in this lecture we will revise the schedule 3 in detailed manner. Correct. We will discuss notes to accounts in a length, and then a particular note what should you write exactly, that we'll study. Now then, good luck. We'll start on a screen. We'll move towards the screen. Okay, these are the notes to accounts. Okay, the main format part 1 and part 2 you know, I am assuming. If not, then as I said, I have given you some trick to remember. Just remember that. Yes, just revise that, then you will understand these notes. All the notes required? No. If atom is not given in the trial balance, then for that we do not require note, but it's advisable to draw some common notes, because instead of wasting time you can invest that time in solving more things or getting more marks in exam. Understood? The format within 2 minutes. Profit and loss statement, in that I told you to remember A, B, C, D, E, F, and then finally O, and in between I said if you do not remember A, B, C, D up to F, then you can do like this: A, B, C, Parat C, P, C, then D, E, F and O. From A, you know, we write revenue. From B, we write expenses. In B, C, P, C, D, E, F and O. C, cost of material consumed, purchase of a stock in trade. Then next, C for change in inventory, D depreciation, E employee benefit, F finance cost, and finally other expense. This is the format. And then from A, if you deduct B, you will get profit before tax, and then from that if you deduct tax, you will get profit after tax, and that same profit will be transferred to balance sheet, and by that you get the total of reserve and surplus, and then all other notes total transferred to main format, and then you find, yes, balance sheet in a tallied form. This is our goal, this is our target where we want to shoot our arrow. We already shooted. I already showed you problem number 30 in a regular class. There's so many problems also we have solved in the class. Just to revise your concepts, some students were not there, for them specifically I'm recording the video. Okay, now listen. In the format, should I show that format to you? This is the format, main format. Don't check the amounts, we are not at all concerned with the amounts. Now this is your format. In a format you will find first part 1, and in that, in a part 1, liabilities, and after writing liabilities, assets. In a liability, as we discussed 3 liabilities, generally you will find 4, but to remember that, yes, easily, we have divided that into 3 parts, and then on asset side also 3 here, 3 there. That will become simple to remember. And then in every category you will find 4 sub, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 6. Why 6? Because last one is exception to that. Understood? And then which 3, for which 3, that you know, first related to shareholder, then after that next one related to non-current, and then current. There on the asset side, first fixed asset, though non-fixed asset is a non-current, but we said there fixed asset, then non-current and current. Yes, these are 3 of 2 sides. Then in each, as I said, 4, in a first 4, all anything related to equity shareholders, their capital, their profit, that means their reserve and surplus, then warrant money and application money. Why warrant and how to remember that application, that I already explained. You can check the last video, there you will understand how to remember. And then in a non-current, just one sentence I said. What was that sentence? Yes, borrowing tax is others provision. You are not working, therefore you will not get the salary, you will get not loan. Yes, not, you will not get the loan. you need not required to pay any tax. Your borrowing tax is others provision. This is not your work. Like this, you can remember the sentence, and from each word you can frame each atom. Borrowing, if you write borrowing in a non-current, that will become non-current or long-term borrowings. Then from tax, deferred tax liability, other long-term liabilities, and long-term provisions. And if you write 4 same items in the current, then there you will get what? Yes, borrowing, same borrowing, but short-term borrowings. Then tax, no tax, here T, trade payable. Then there other, here also other long-term, other short-term. Provision, long-term provision, here short-term provision. Very simple. If you can write the first 4, then last 4 easily. Non-current 4 you can write easily. Then on the asset side, my dear students, you have to just write opposite words for borrowing, tax, others provision. If no opposite word for that word, then consider atom and then write opposite, yes, atom on the asset side. Borrowing, for that we have opposite word. Money taken from bank is the borrowing, money given to bank, that is investment. Therefore, in a front of, yes, borrowing, write on the asset side non-current investment, non-current borrowing, long-term borrowing, long-term investment. Like this you can understand. Then after this we have deferred tax liability there, here deferred tax assets. And then after deferred tax, other, for other you will not find any word, therefore change the place position. Third, make it fourth, and fourth make it third. There fourth we have what? Provision. Opposite to provision is what? Provision means the outstanding. Opposite to that is the prepaid. Prepaid means the next years we paid in this year, advance, short term or long term loans and advances there. And then finally last item from other non-current assets. And in the last category, instead of 4 you will find 6, 4 of a non-current as it is, but in that just fill, yes, inventories and cash equivalent, you will get 6. With 6 what? Current investment, then inventories, then after that trade receivable, then after that cash and cash equivalent, then short term loans and advances, and finally other current assets. This is full format, and then we will prepare notes from that main format. Then first part of the asset balance sheet, for asset not balance sheet, and from that balance sheet you will get the first note, first here, yes, which first note you must prepare? Share capital. Note number will give as 1, correct? Now note number 1, that I will explain here. Note number 1. Note number 1 is for share capital. What is the punchline or the theme of this note? Everything related to shareholder, share capital. If that is related to share capital, then use note number 1. Example, share capital, in that you will find various types of share capitals. Authorized share capital, issued, subscribed share capital, paid up share capital, these are the stages. And then types also, reserve capital, then uncalled capital, yes, etc. Then these items of the balance sheet related to capital you will find in a share capital. Understood? It's easy. The stages or type also you can say, types also you can say, no problem. Understood? And then related to this, in a trial balance, sometimes you will get call scenarios. Call scenarios, what? You called but they haven't paid, shareholder haven't paid, we deduct that from share capital. Understood? Agreed? Should we go ahead? Yes, then go ahead. And here forfeited share in SY, and you will not find forfeited. But what if not paying, then we forfeit, we cancel those shares, and then if cancelling we add that, correct, here. And then what? Call arrear by director officer. This disclosure at SY not required, but this type of a disclosure we do for share capital note. Then my dear students, you will find next note of reserve and surplus. Reserve and surplus, what is the punchline of this? If atom name of a trial balance is having fund word in that or reserve word in that atom or surplus or profit word, then you can write that atom here. Yeah, the crux of that atom must be the fund, reserve, surplus or profit and loss. What I am saying, crux. If investment in debenture redemption fund, then here crux is investment. If you don't consider that fund word only, correct. If only debenture redemption fund is given, that means here they want to specify us that this is the fund, and then that fund word you can understand like this is the part of what, reserve and surplus, because what we said, if fund word or the crux of atom is the fund, then that will fall in reserve and surplus group. I am going little bit faster, but obviously you can pause and then you can slow down the speed. On a YouTube, if I post 1 hour video, 2 hours video, then no one will going to watch. Therefore, I will make it this small video, trying to make it small. Then reserve. Now some reserve, capital redemption, security premium reserve. Reserve word this you will find, not only security, but you will find security premium reserve. Name has changed. Debenture redemption reserve, revaluation reserve. Now this is the exception, share outstanding, share option outstanding, but this you will not find in S5 become. Okay, ignore. Other reserve, surplus, then profit and loss, in that also opening balance, current year profit, appropriations, transferred to this, transferred to that, etc., interim dividend and all. Understood? This is all about the reserve and surplus. The reserve and surplus, what is this? This is the part of profit and belongs to shareholder. This belongs to shareholder, shareholders of, not the share capital, but before this shareholders we can say. This is so we write that in reserve and surplus. After reserve and surplus you will find money received against share warrant. Generally no subatoms here. Directly you will get money received against share warrant. If that is given, then my dear students, no need to prepare a note, because only one atom there we will find. Why to waste energy and time in preparing note and writing there and then again transferring, and when only one amount is there, obviously you can write that amount directly in main format. Same thing we will going to do for this money received against share warrant. After this we have share application money pending for allotment. For this also you will get one amount. Don't open any note. In actual practice you can, but here generally not required. For first, second, no note for this, no note for this. Understood? If amount is given, straight away write that amount in the main format. Understood? Now then, non-current liabilities, that means long-term liabilities. Their duration is what? More than 1 year as per settlement criteria. We have with settlement criteria other criteria like trading criteria, then operating cycle criteria, and then unconditional right criteria. That I taught in the last video. You can watch that. What is the difference between current and non-current? But for simplification purpose, here just remember that settlement criteria. More than 12 months, let's say, or assume that as a non-current, or that becomes the non-current. Correct. Now first and second note is over. Now give for this the third number, and you will find third here, long-term borrowings. Borrowing means loan, means the finance. If you have taken finance or loan for more than 12 months, then that we write here in this category. Here what do we write? Then do you know some types of finance? Yes. Then we have here what? Term loan from bank. Then after that, loan or the advances taken from your relatives. Then we have here like debentures, bonds and debentures. They can be short term, but here we are assuming that bonds long term. Therefore, we are writing that bond in long term. It total depends upon the assumption, but generally term loan we take for more than 12 months. Therefore, term loan, by reading atom, instead of assuming, we straight away write that in a long term borrowings. Then deposits, here also you will find short term deposit, long term deposit. Here we are assuming by long term deposit, and by that we are writing in a long term borrowings. Then advance relatives, then long term maturities, yes, etc. And then obligations, loans and advances, yes, etc. Okay, now okay, then next here we have, my dear students, after borrowings, deferred tax liability. For this also no need to prepare any note. You will find only one item related to deferred tax, straight away that you can write in a front of deferred tax in a main format only. Notes as such not required. Then after deferred tax you will find other long term liabilities. Now check other long term liability. Now in my dear students, I want to give you some clue about the other and provision category. Now here we have other and here provision category. In current also other and provision category. Students are confused with other and provision. They are not exactly able to identify whether to write now which one to select, other or provision. Now it's very simple, my dear students. Just you have to remember one line only. If amount is fixed, then prefer. This is my opinion. This is not written anywhere. How I try to figure out whether that is other or provision. If amount is fixed, then I say that as other, and if not, then I say that as a provision. Very simple. You can do so. What I said, if amount is fixed, amount of liability is fixed, then prefer other category. Otherwise, you can say that as a provision. Understood? Now check the format. Then we will check one by one. Here other long term liabilities. Other, what I said, if amount of liability is fixed and period is more than 12 months. Obviously we are writing in a non-current, therefore here I have written more than 12 months. Now trade payable for assets. Trade payable separate category you will find. If related to trade, then that will write in trade payable straight away. But if that payable is related to asset, payable related to asset, trade payable for asset, or we can say payable for asset, then obviously these are not small amounts. We take a more than 12 months credit period for that. If that is so, then we write that in a other payable, other long term categories. That amount is fixed for asset. We have already done the contract. Now that maturity is over. Now that amount has become the payable. How can we say now that amount is not fixed? Already decided amount. Therefore we write that in a other category. Then other payable like trade deposit payable, etc., that you have to write here. In SY generally you will not find anything in other long term liabilities. Then long term provisions, here also you will not find so many items. But if amount is not fixed, what provision for employee benefit is, we want to provide benefits to our employee. I want to give them medical facility, but I don't know how many workers will going to become ill in the next year. Just I provide just 20,000 for that, 50,000 for that. Correct. On the basis of past year data, or on the basis of situation. In COVID, I must have to provide more amount in other, but that amount is not fixed. Therefore, we write. Correct. And then other provision for warranties and etc., that you can write. That amount is not fixed because of here. And then next here in the format after this, now as I said, he gave fourth and then fifth, then next sixth. Now here short term borrowings, that means loan taken but for a shorter period. From bank we take a loan for a shorter, for what? For a shorter period we take a loan for हिस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट तिकडे, इंग्लिश वगैरे तिकडे छोटे छोटे डिपार्टमेंट्स आहेत ना सगळे, मराठी इंग्लिश तिकडे. Short term borrowings, I said. Short term loan taken for lesser period, less than 12 months, we will say. Less than 12 months. From bank we take a cash credit facility, we take a overdraft facility. Correct. These are what? Short term loans only. At any time we can withdraw, and then after that if fund is not required, again we repay. That means term as such is not specified. That could be not specified. Generally that is called as a short term. We cannot comment on that. Correct ना? काही लोक पैसे असूनही देत नाही. That yes, but that is short term. Then loan repayable on demand, at any time ban on demand. Yes, if that is so, then we write on a in a short term borrowings, then this is repayable on demand from bank, from other party. Yes, we agreed that we will give you at any time, therefore we have to provide also at any time. We cannot say that this is what, this is long term. In short period also they can demand, therefore, but they have right to demand at any period. Why to unnecessarily assume that they will not demand? Assume that they will demand, and from that try to write that in a short term. Yes, what is more appropriate, assuming that as a lesser than 12 months, the demanding part is more appropriate, therefore write that in a short term borrowings. Then my dear students, loan and advances from related party, here also you will find same atom, but what distinguish the atom of a long term from short term? 12 months. If loan and advances from related party for lesser period, less than 12 months, you have taken that, then assume that as a what? Assume that as a short term borrowings. Understood? Now then next, deposit, same thing for deposit, other loans and advances. Yes, correct? Any doubt? I think so, no doubts. Next, after this, give 7 number, trade payable. Trade payable, have I taught you trade payable? No. Trade payable, that means payable related to trade, purchase and sale. Yes, related to purchase and sale, you will find creditors. Related to purchase, creditors, therefore sundry creditors. And related to that only, if someone wants money urgently, or if your creditor wants money urgently, then he asks you to sign on bills payable, that is bills payable, correct na? Related to creditor only, therefore in a creditor, with creditor, in a creditor category we write that bills payable. Understood? Very simple. How you can, from trade you can write that in trade. Generally in an exam, you will get trade payable, and then the trade payable will match, and after matching you can write that easily in a trade payable. If not, if sundry debtors or creditors is given, then you have to ask yourself the new name of creditor. New name of creditor is a trade payable, sundry creditors means the trade payable, and from that name, if same word if you do not find in a notes or in a main format, then ask yourself what is the second name. Second name you will find trade payable, and from that you can write easily that in a trade payable. Understood? It's easy, just the matching concept. Red, yellow, if matching, if your atom is yellow and in a note yellow head is there, then in that yellow head you can write your yellow atom. Understood? Easy, it's that much simple. Correct. And then in while solving problem, I will tell you, yes, how to check the red color. If you do not, if everywhere red or yellow is there, or small difference is there, so many notes, and out of that you cannot figure out that small difference or exact note, then we will classify that. That means 1 to 9 for liabilities, 10 to 20 for assets, 21 for revenue, 22 to 27 for expenses. And then we will read the trial balance. Debit column of the trial balance means the assets or expenses. That means we have to check there only for 22 to 27 or for 10 to 20. You can very well figure out whether that is asset or the expenses. I think so already told you the definition of asset. If not, then in this lecture right now we will discuss the definition, how to categorize, bifurcate, correct na, the expenses from the assets. When do I have to call a particular atom as asset, and then that as expenses. I am using my mobile to shoot, therefore you will find in between disturbances. In the next, I am using that USB tethering mode to record, and therefore I cannot put that on aeroplane mode. That's the problem. No problem. Okay. Trade payable, that you understood. Other current liabilities, as I said, in other, amount should be fixed. Now amount, current maturities amount, you will find fixed. Other current liabilities, their current maturities for long term debts. Current maturities. Current maturities means what? Outstanding interest. Yes, the interest payable. Loan we have to give in installments, step by steps. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. Now current maturities on the finance lease obligation, this is also current maturity. Amount is fixed because in a loan you will find the rate of interest fixed, period also fixed, and then principal amount also fixed. Therefore you will get interest, that maturity fixed. Correct. Therefore we are writing that in other current liabilities. Then accrued, the same interest accrued. Then income received in advance, is pre-received income, we can say. Prepaid, outstanding income and pre-received income. Outstanding income, correct, you will find in what? On the asset side. Here on the liability, that amount is fixed, therefore here. And then unpaid dividend, this is very important. Generally you will find this in exam. Unpaid dividend, you have issued the investor check of a dividend, but because they are not there at home, yes, that check has come again back to you as accountant. Then what? You have already drawn the check, that means that amount is fixed, therefore we have written in other, not in the provision. Correct. Some students are writing that in the provision, but that is wrong. Unpaid dividend in other current liabilities. In exam you will get this, very important. Application money, interest and all, unpaid calls in advance. Yes, we have got this money already, amount is fixed, calls in advance. Correct. Now therefore here, and this is also important. Okay, now some other items you can read. These are not at all important from SY point of view, second year. Then after that, short term provision. Short term provision, one or two provisions. Provision for employee benefit we had already discussed. Then provision for income tax. Yes, just we finalize the balance sheet on the 31st March. Then after that, auditor will audit that balance sheet. Then you will get the final tax liability. Right now we have just the provided on the basis of calculated a profit and loss. Correct. Understood? This is not the final one. Therefore, amount is not fixed. We have written in a provision. Why in short term, not in a long term? Because income tax department will not going to wait for you. They will not say that, sir, we have too much of money, everyone pays us, we have crores and crores of rupees with us, for you no need to give any money to us, after 5 years you can pay. No, they will not going to wait. Immediately after end, not immediately, also in between also we pay advance tax to them. They don't have system, otherwise they will say us to pay every day, because we generate income on a everyday basis. Therefore they are saying us, why you are not paying us on every day? Therefore my dear students, they will not going to sure shot, we write in short term provisions. Then after this, next we have here all liabilities are over. After liabilities you will find here assets, 8 number for this, 9 number for this. Then after this, here for tangible assets, 10th tangible asset, that means what? These are the fixed asset which we can pursue, which we can see, which we can seal, which we can touch. Correct. Plant we can touch, furniture we can touch. Correct. Now these are the tangible assets, and in a tangible assets you will find a particular table. This is given in the schedule 3. So try to draw a table as like this, a given table. Don't use your brain, correct na? There you will find written opening stock, then addition during the year, then after that the disposal during year, then what the total depreciation. In depreciation also so many columns, but in your book you will not get to that much space, therefore we will skip some items not required. Opening, addition, deletion, depreciation, and finally net closing. Like this we will draw. Some adjustment we have to do, otherwise our life will become difficult. वो तो बोल देंगे कि भाई सब बनाओ, मगर बनाने वाला भी चाहिए उतना, हमारे लेवल पे इतना बनाने की कुछ जरूरत ही नहीं है. Understood? Now there like land, building, plant and machinery, equipments, these tangible assets will find. I think so everyone knows the tangible assets, then why to waste time here. Next, then intangible asset. Next note for intangible assets is this which we cannot touch. Yes, examples like goodwill, brand, trademarks, patents, copyrights, receipts, correct na? Formulas, some file you will find, then rights, mining rights you will get, everything you will find here. Intangible. This intangible gives us future economic benefits, therefore we said them assets, and because which we cannot see, therefore we said them intangible assets. Very easy. Then after this you will find the next here, capital work in progress, no need to prepare note. Intangible under development, no need to prepare own note. Then here 12th number, for non-current investment, what do we write here? All investment more than for 12 months. Here what is the theme? If information about period of investment is not given, then take the decision as per the amount invested. Correct. This is the information they have given. If not, check the trial balance compared to that with that is more what in most of the time. Why I have written this? Because in most of the cases, in most of the questions, you will not get the information about what? The period of investment. At that time, you have to take the decision from what? The atom name only. Then, but these atom names, check here, same atom, investment in a property, you will find in what? Here, same investment in equity share, preference share, government securities. Okay, here also investment in equity share, preference share, government security, same are there in non-current as well as in current, and not specified their period. Therefore, by reading, as I said, amount, if amount is small, then write that in a current investment. If the big amount, then write in non-current investment. This is just the suggestion. You can write as per your assumption. If you assume that for more than 12 months, then write that in a non-current. But in exam, give star and explain, give the explanation in assumptions. Correct. At least one first, second assumption like this. Correct. This is advisable to get 20 out of 20 marks. Investment in a property share, wherever you invest, that investment we write here. Generally, trade investment, they should write here. They have written in non-current, but that is wrong. You should write that in a current, because sometimes we get excess money, current capital, correct, due to favorable demand and supply condition. You get some excess balance, cash balance, and that we invest in short-term securities, short-term options. करंट पुन्हा लागणारच, ये आपको लगेगा, फिर आपको यूज करना पड़े. करंट है दैट ही है ना, दैट इज द प्रोडक्ट ऑफ द करंट साइकिल. Therefore, at any time you could require that. Therefore, we do investment of a trade in trade, excess money in trade investment, in a short-term investment. Therefore, if trade investment is given from name, please write that in a current investment. It's again, it's your choice. Okay, understood. Then after this you will find here main format, deferred tax. For this no need to prepare any note, only one item, straight away you can write that item. Then long term loans and advances, for that prepare a note, we will say 13 number, long term loans and advances. Long term loans and advances, these are also loans, and on the liability side also you will find loan there, correct. But what I said there, loan taken, these are not loan takens, these are loan given. If you give loan to someone, then that becomes what, loans and advances. That, yes, we write in this category, loan given to employees, loan given to relatives, then yes, amount given in a form of advances, capital advances, amount given as a security deposits. Yes, these are also we have given, correct. Therefore we write here in loans and advances. You can read low advance tax, then what, credit receivables, extra money we have given, therefore this is receivable. Then VAT receivable, you will not find this here in syllabus. Instead of that you will find GST, service tax is not old format. Then credit receivables, etc. Understood. If loans and advances are given, then that you require to write, those you require to write here, that item you require to write here. Understood? Any explanation required? No, that is very much clear. Given here, taken there, borrowings, this you will understand. And for this also you will find short term, if period is more than 12 months, then write here. Generally we give security deposit for more than 12 months, therefore write here. Capital advances, from name you will understand that the period must be more than 12 months, then at that time write here. Now next what do we have? Other non-current assets. For this also we will going to prepare. Here generally you will find what? Yes, the discount on issue of debenture, formation expenses, preliminary expenses, etc. Formation, generally as per the revised rules, as per the revised guideline notes, correct, after 2016-14, we do prefer to write, or we write off, in other words, full preliminary expenses in the first year itself. Therefore in that case no need to write that first in other current and then year by year write off some amount and transfer to profit and loss. This is not required in a current era, means right now. But again, if that depends upon examiner, if examiner says you to write off 20% or 1/5, then you can easily write off that, correct. Nullify that, no problem. But to write off, that should be somewhere, that you will find in other. Why? Now example we will take, we form a company for more than 1 year, agreed. This is not the Diwali cracker shop, correct. More than 1 year, that means benefit also of a formation of a company you will get more than 1 year. If you get the benefit for more than 1 year, then my dear students, obviously we treat that as asset, not that simply remain as expenses. But formation expenses, how formation expenses is asset? These are not the actual asset, but these are the fictitious asset, and these fictitious assets must have some place. In a previous individual's balance sheet, before this we were writing miscellaneous expenses on the asset side. These are what? All fictitious, and those all miscellaneous group we write here in other non-current assets, here in this category. In other non-current asset, that miscellaneous group, that means what? Formation expenses, preliminary expenses, discount on issue of shares, discount on issue of debentures, etc. and etc. Right now we will not find share discounting, but in theoretical sense I am telling you, write and write the amount and then write off as per the additional information, as per the adjustments. Okay. Now 14 number, then after this, after 14 you will find the next. Okay, Now what, 14 is over, then 15 current investment, current investment, current investment, investment in, yes, as I said, more than 12 months there, less than 12 months here. Investment in shares, preference share, government trust, debentures, bond, mutual fund, partnership, but generally if share capital investment in preference share, government security, trust security, then have you scratched it out. Then do one thing, you also don't write that in current, you write that in non-current. If investment in debentures, bonds given and other investments, then only write that in a current, otherwise prefer non-current. From name I am saying, again there I said take the help of amount, understood. Now then next you will find 17 for inventories, 17 for inventories. Inventories, all types of inventories, including what, raw material inventory, finished goods inventory, WIPs inventory, store spares inventory, loose store inventory, other inventory, every inventory we write here. But which inventory? Not the opening, closing one, my dear students. This is what, closing inventory. Opening there in trading profit and loss we write, but the closing there also and here also. One effect there, second effect here. In adjustment you will find closing. Understood? Inventory means the stock, all types of stocks. Theme line is all types of closing stock. Okay, then we have 18 number. 18 number for what? 18 number for trade receivable. Trade receivable, that means receivable from the debtors, and bills receivable also related to the debtors. Therefore here very simple, debtors related, debtor name has changed, ask yourself what is the second name, you will get trade debtors means the trade receivable. Don't say as a Sunil, so Sunu is the second name. No, from Sunu you will find Sunu atom, that category name, category name is matching, write that with the, yes, that in that category. Trade debtors, ask yourself second name, trade receivable going to match, therefore write that trade receivable here. And we did a provision for doubtful, that you know. And then bills receivable we write. After this you will find next note, 19 number note for cash and cash equivalent. What do you write? Cash and cash and bank balance. Let it be current account balance, let it be saving account balance, etc. Then draft and check in hand. Yes, you have check in hand, that is equivalent to cash only. At any time you can deposit and you will get the cash, equivalent to cash. Therefore we write that in a cash equivalent, cash and cash equivalent. Margin money also, yes, we have given for contractual purpose to bank. Again we can convert that into cash easily without any deduction. Well, therefore what, you can write that in cash and cash equivalent. Then guarantees and other commitments in a money form guarantee, that we can write here. Then short term loans and advances, there are so many types of guarantees are there. I don't want to unnecessarily make it complicated. I don't want to make it complicated, therefore simply cash guarantee we will raise, assume. Then my dear students, we have short term loans and advances. Let's say 20th note, 20th short term loans and advances. Yes, short term loans and advances given for less than 12 months to related party. Here now very important, generally you get this in exam. Prepaid expenses, prepaid insurance, correct now? That means insurance we have paid for the next year in this year. This is a prepaid rent, next month's rent we have paid in the March, April's in the March, in this year next month, that we write in advance. This why we are writing, because we have paid them advance, therefore we are from advance, prepaid expenses are here. Then tax receivable, after getting demand notice, that intimation 143(1) or 154, and we write from that refund amount here. Obviously we will get in month or in 1 or 2 months, correct? Then After this, you will find the last note related to asset, then 20 and other current assets. If you cannot write that anywhere in above categories, then you can write that in other current category. Here, non-trade receivable category, non-trade receivable, unamortized expenditure, and then unbilled revenue. Generally, you will not get this in exam, but try to remember this. Understood? This is our detailed format. As I said, read the trial balance from debit and credit column, try to figure out whether that is asset or expenses. Now, how to decide whether a particular item is asset or expenses? For that, you must know the definition of asset. Asset means what? You know the examples, but you don't know the asset, exact definition. Some students might be knowing. These are what? Resources of the enterprise, the results of past events, resulted from past events, and these are going to give us future economic benefits. If this is so, then we call that expenditure, that amount or that item, as a asset. This must be the resources, and benefit resulted from past. Obviously, without money you cannot get the resources. So many resources that without money we cannot avail those. Correct. And past events, that means past cash balance, bank balance, your reputation, because of that you can get loan, and what, because of these past events we could generate those assets. Correct. And after generating you could get future economic benefit. Yes, future economic benefit, let's say building, yes, resulted of the past events. What these are the resources, like you will find correct na, so many resources, anna vastra nivara and all, for that natural resources and all. Correct na. Very so many natural resources you will find. Yes, the resources which can satisfy your wants, those are the resources. Building obviously can satisfy our want. From building we will get the shelter, we can live. Resources also evaluated or result of the past events. Yes, we converted our cash into building. Okay, we purchased a building, and is it giving us the future benefits? Yes, it is giving. Only benefit for a year? No, for more than 1 year also. In the future you will going to get again and again, you will get for next year, for next year also, next year also. That means if this is so, then that is called as an asset. Correct. Now vice versa, take the example, next example, rent. Rent what? Yes, the benefit of rent paid we already received. Correct. In the future we will not get the benefit. Prepaid rent benefit you will get in the future, but only rent benefit we have already received, therefore we are booking. In the future, rent expenditure, the previously or till now you have given 50,000 rupees. That means 50,000 benefit we already lived in that flat, and because we have already lived, we have given 50,000. That means 50,000 rupees benefit we have got already. Correct. In the future again you will not get the 50,000 rupees benefit received, therefore we write that in the expenditure. This is the definition. And in expenses also, when we can say expenses, these are the monetary payments for getting resources, we can say, or these are the payments which what we can say, increases the assets and decreases the liabilities, which increases our property, we can say otherwise. These are the expenses. And similarly liabilities means what? These are the present obligation resulted from the past events, and in the future they are the payable. Correct. present obligation, not the future obligations, present obligation. On these days, if we are obliged to pay, then that becomes the liability. And revenue, monetary receipts. These expenses decreases the what assets and increases the liabilities, and income increases the assets and decreases the liability. Something like this. I generally do not remember like this. I just say monetary receipts and monetary payments. In that term, you will definitely understand. These definitions you will find in notes somewhere, and in the reference book also you can check. On Google you can check the definitions. This I wanted to share with you, this detailed format. Before exam, if you read this detailed format, then you could write nearly 80 to 90% items. You can prepare 90% schedule 3, and by that you will get 80 to 90% marks. That means more than 15 marks in a company final account. Thank you for attentive listening. Definitely your doubts will be taken in regular class, and in a comment box of YouTube. You are most welcome to ask me doubts. Thank you.